my cup, pour the brim over ice, over it.
Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today we got a special tutorial for you guys. We're gonna be making a boom bap beat and showing all the secrets, all the sauce on how to just make the most professional sounding boom bap beats you can make every single time. So if you guys are ready, let's jump right into this. Alright, so we're going to be starting with this super simple sample. It's from Decap's Drum That Knock Volume 9. By the way, you should probably grab that pack because all the sounds in there are totally useful for boom bap beats, and we're going to be using quite a few of them. It also has a second part that switches up a little bit, sounds like this. So we're going to be switching up between those two throughout the beat. But let's go ahead and start jumping in here. Okay guys, so for these melodies, I threw on a golf os just to make it as best as it could possibly be here. I also threw on a little channel strip EQ to bring out some more of the highs and effects from it. And we went ahead and chopped out some lows here, so it's not going to interfere with our 808 at all. Okay, so let's get in the drums. So the drums for these beats are going to be a little bit off the grid just to give them a little more swag, so they're not just like straight on the line like you would see in typical trap beats. And we're also going to layer that with the snare. Okay, so what I did is I grouped the snare and the clap together so I could control them together and put effects on them together as a whole. If you don't know how to do that, it's Command G on Mac and Control G on Windows. Okay, so what I ended up putting on them is a little bit of reverb right here, Valhalla Room, just to give it a little more depth to it. Chopped out the lows, kind of raised this part right here where it was really snappy, the transient of the snare and clap. And then a Pultec EQ right here just to bring out some more characteristics. So it sounds like this. So threw a little open hi-hat on the first here. Okay, so next is the fun part. I want to throw some drums on it, but I don't want to use the standard trap drums and samples and stuff like that. So there's usually two ways that I go about this. The first way is either I have a VST that has the old drum sounds, like actual drum set sounds, and there's some good VSTs you can do that. Like Addictive Drums is a good one. Another way is just using a loop from some live drum recordings. So I got this cool drum break from Kenny Beatz. It was in his Discord, and this is what it sounds like. Okay, so what I did is with the sample, I went ahead and chopped out the snare, and I pretty much left everything out, kind of played with it a little bit to make sure it was lining up how I wanted it to do. And this is what it's all sounding like together now. So if you can't tell, everything is off the grid just a little bit, and that's what's giving it that swaggy behavior. So you can see this one's off a little bit. This sample is naturally going to be off because more live drums when they're played like that are going to be off the grid as well. And our snare is off the grid as well, our snare and our clap. So okay, so the first thing I'm doing with these drums here is throwing on an RC20. There's a really cool preset called Drum Break 3 that I like to use on my drums. So I went ahead and threw there on it, and now it sounds like this. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is make sure to chop out the lows. So we're going to chop out a good chunk here. We're going to use our own kick drum sample, so we're just going to do it like that. And the last thing that I'm putting on here is a little bit of a Transient Shaper, which can actually help with your drums, because sometimes the drums may have some reverb or some tail on them. They're a little bit longer than you want them to be. So what I did is I turned up this pump here, which is going to make everything end a little bit shorter. Like, listen to that versus this. Completely different sounds. You can get a lot of really cool tricks using a Transient Shaper like that on some drums. So from here I added in a little stick percussion. Sounds like this. Just comes in every once in a while. Just a little bit of that vintage verb. Nothing too crazy. And then we chop the lows out with an EQ as well. And then we use this little shaker perk right here, which is actually going to go between ears. And this only comes in every so often, but it sounds like this. So really cool shaker effect, and without the effect on it, it sounds like this normally. And then when we put this replica on, the replica is what I use to do that bouncing. And it's a really simple plugin. All I did is I put it on here. I put it on dotted, ping pong effect, which is going to make it go from left to right ear. Put it on 1/8 and then played with the mix and feedback a little bit to get it to play like that. And I also went ahead and chopped the lows out of this as well, like we're pretty much doing with all the drums, except for the kick and 808. Okay, so the next thing we have is a shaker, which is going to play more often. It's going to be almost like the hi-hat, and it's only going to come in like every other 8 bars just to kind of change it up, change the vibe a little bit. And it sounds like this. As you can see, I did a lot with the velocities. I wanted it to sound like a human was actually playing this shaker effect. Sounds pretty cool though. And as you can see, everything's off the grid just a little bit, just to make it sound more humanistic as well as doing these velocities, so changing those up. So all that's left is the kick and bass, right? Let's get right into that. So as you can see, this pattern's pretty much the same as the first 4 bars, except I took out these 2 right here, these little quick ones, and then I added in 1 right here as well. So pretty much the same. I just wanted to switch it up there so that it wasn't playing the same thing over and over again. It had a little bit of variation throughout it. And as you can see, we're kind of using some different drum sounds. These aren't your classic trap drum sounds. Like this kick, for example, is just a hitter. It's got like more distortion and punch to it than your normal kicks. Okay, so you may be asking, how are your kick and snare popping so well through the mix? And that's going to be something that's really important for these kind of boom bap beats, is that you got them punching through the mix. So I actually sent both of them to a return track here. I called it kick and 808, but it's really for the kick and snare, and I have a limiter compressor on it. This is a UAD plugin, but it's a compressor limiter. It's doing a little bit of compression, as you can see here, a little bit of limiting with the threshold, and that's going to let these, it kind of gives them more of a punch to it. So what I did is I sent the kick to it. You can see they're a little more than 50%, and then the snare here right about half, so about 50%, maybe 60 for this one. And it just gives them just a little bit of extra snap that helps them stand above everything else. Okay, so this is like one of my favorite basses to use. It's very realistic. It's the Scarby Rickenbacker bass. If you have Contact Complete, it comes with that naturally, so you might already have it and you don't even realize it. This one's really dope, and what I like about this bass is there's actually 2 presets for it. So if we go down and find it right here, boom. As you can see, we have a palm muted, and we also just have a regular bass. So what I like to do is I like to make pretty much 2 patterns. I copy the pattern twice after I've made it. And with the palm muted, I make the notes really short, and I just give it more of like a tapping sound, so it almost makes it feel more realistic. So what I did is I copied those notes down right here into this palm muted one now. And I took all of the notes and I put them all up an octave. Okay, very important. I put them up an octave and I made them all super short. As you can see, they're all this length. They don't drag out like the bass notes. So when these play, they're a lot shorter and you just get the clippy sound of it. We don't want the lowy parts of it. We just want that realistic clippy sound like when they're actually playing the bass. And as you can see, I skipped some of the notes, so I only have them play every so often. Just for effects that I put on the bass, I grouped them together like I did with the snares, and I put an Avalon on there, which is a vacuum tube compressor. This is my go-to. It's also a UAD plugin, but you could use any other compressor. Ableton's got a nice glue compressor that would work really well for the bass. And then I think I chopped out a little bit of the lows here. I added some mids, and then I'm this is right here is where the kick's gonna be hitting. So every time the kick hits, it goes down right here. And this is just where the kick is dominating the frequency in the 54 hertz range. Yo guys, I actually just found something crazy that I wanna share with you guys that might help you a ton when you're doing this. I found a little bit of a vocal right here that was in my samples, and this vocal sounds really good on this beat. So that can be something that helps you guys as well. If you're ever unsure how an artist would sound on it, go ahead and drag an acapella with your beat and see how it sounds in comparison. So this one ended up lining up really well, so we ended up using it.
Fill my cup to the brim over ice over it.
Yes, sir! Bam! And there you have it, guys. That's how you make a crazy boom bap beat. I'm really proud of how this one turned out. And make sure to smash the like button for me so we can get this pushed out to other producers so they can see exactly how to make crazy boom bap beats in Ableton as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this one. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe because we're uploading videos like this every single week that you're not going to want to miss out on. And we go live several times a week too, so if you guys want to see my exact process, check those out on Friday and Saturday nights. And besides that, guys, if you want to catch us over on Instagram, it's at Fearless Beats. We're just posting some content on there telling you guys what's happening in the community. Also, we got a crazy Discord if you want to join that as well. Leave a comment below if you thought this one was fire. And if there's anything new you learned in here, let us know below. Love to hear from you. Also, if you have any questions, definitely leave those as well. But that's it, guys. I'm not going to keep you any longer. Have a blessed day, and I'll catch you guys again in the next one. Peace out, gang.